Hi everyone. Today we're going to look at fair trade, and of course this is going to pertain to coffee. And so I'm going to show you this short video, and then we'll have a little discussion about it after. Or I'll have a discussion. You can listen if you want to. Coffee.
Yeah, Starbucks is big. Proud to remind us that they're the biggest buyer of fair trade coffee in the world. Yep, 100% fair trade. They even warn us against buying a cheap cup of coffee that's not fair trade. So fair trade coffee equals the best coffee in the world, right? Well, maybe not. The fair trade system was created in 1997 to combat problems that plagued growers of commodities like cocoa, sugar, and coffee, starting with making sure that they received a fair price for their products.
Behind every fair trade certified label is a rigorous certification process, which means you can feel confident knowing you're living your values with each purchase.
But as the Starbucks on every corner proves, the market has changed, transforming this once humble eye-opener into a specialty item like wine. And lots of people in the industry, from growers to independent retailers, believe the organizations overseeing fair trade have failed to wake up and smell the coffee.
We don't have that voice. Everything is decided there. The external inspectors comes as a policeman here. Doesn't want any negotiation. Say these are the rules. Rule 1, rule 2, rule 3. Our voice are not heard in fair trade.
The difficulty for us is that people's perception of fair trade is that this is the best way to do things. So when somebody comes into the shop and says, do you stock fair trade coffee? And I say, no we don't. It's very difficult to not lose them after that point.
These days, to get the great cup of coffee that many of us crave, you need to start with the best beans, sold at auctions like this one in Kenya. The better the beans, the higher the price, which means instead of relying on fair trade pricing protections, farmers could make more money by growing better beans and getting them certified as specialty coffee beans.
The fair trade really only open up the supply chain, but they don't add any value to it. Companies like ours and many others and NGOs are working with the producers down at the farm level to improve their processes so that they are producing a better and more uniform coffee, which has, by definition, a much higher value.
One of the ways a grower can get their coffee certified as specialty is through the Specialty Coffee Association of America, which uses testers like Kelly Amoroso to grade the quality of the beans.
84.5. So that's my highest scoring coffee. There's 3 different criteria. One is evaluating coffees in the cup. If a coffee scores 80 points or up, it's considered specialty. Another standard to evaluate green to determine if a coffee is specialty or not is depending on how many defects you find in the coffee. And then finally, in roast, we also evaluate the roast of the coffee, and if there's any immature beans, those are also discounted. So specialty coffees usually are clean. They have a sweet aftertaste. They're free of defect. They have something unique about them.
Farmers who get their coffee certified as specialty will discover lots of store owners are more than willing to pay much higher prices than the farmers would get under fair trade certification.
What we try to do is to work closely with farmers and give them a price that's based on quality and help them achieve a better quality. So some of the coffees that we source, we will have paid the farmers like twice, 3 times, 4 times, sometimes up to 10, 20 times what the fair trade price for coffee is.
And each one can produce its own specialty coffee. That is what adds value to the farmers.
So, if the coffee growers are getting their best beans certified as specialty to make the most money, what beans are being certified as fair trade? This guy? Since the fair trade label says nothing about the coffee's quality, the taste of a fair trade certified cup of Java might not be as grande as it's served up to be. So, the effort continues to brew to get farmers to grow better beans so they can get their fair share of the lucrative specialty coffee business.
It's a completely symbiotic relationship, and it benefits us, it benefits the farmer, and also benefits the customer, because ultimately they get a better cup of coffee.
Good. Costa Rican. So now you've seen that, video about fair trade, and the thing that I always think with fair trade is, that's how I started thinking about it. I'm always leery of labels and things like that because, having done a fair amount, it's not my training, but having done a fair amount of marketing stuff, I always look at it and say, okay, is there an angle here? So when you start looking at it, when it was formed, it was a great concept. But the world has changed, coffee's changed since that fair trade label started. And what you see is that there's so many things happening like right now that the price of coffee is on a decline because there's so much coffee out there. And it's not good coffee, it's just coffee. So remember, and we'll talk about this another time, specialty coffee has to rate 80 points and above. So anything that's below that is not like a specialty coffee. That's just coffee, depending on how far down it goes. So a farmer can join the fair trade and he has to pay a yearly fee to be a member of it. He's got a list of things he can do and a list of things he can't do. But it doesn't mean that he's making any better coffee. And, that's one of those things that, I know people like to see, that label in a store on a package or whatever and say, oh, these people are helping those people. And it does help those people, I grant you. They do get some benefit from it. But they would be far better off, as I said before, producing better beans where people will pay a higher price for the quality of those better beans. It's not in the mass produced in this regard because if they can, if everybody who buys coffee can look around and say, look, I'd rather... Battery died. But if everybody looked around and said, okay, I'd rather pay a higher price for the coffee because it's a great tasting coffee, it's produced well, everything about it is just, top notch, then those farmers would end up making more money than they do from fair trade. And, I think because of the world glut in coffee that so many of these countries in the coffee belt around the globe have gotten into coffee as a way to produce it, to make a living, that we've gotten more and more inferior beans, so that now it's got to start switching to a fair degree where people say, okay, this is what I used to do, but now I need to change that so that I can make a really top quality bean that people are going to pay me much more for to get. And that's more of what I'm in favor of, is I'd rather pay, like I just looked at a bag of Dominican Republic beans, and they were pushing $7 a pound, green beans raw. So you're looking at a much higher price tag than I think on the open market. You're looking at maybe 50, 75 cents a pound for, those inferior beans that don't have any flavor. That particular bean I've sampled, it's got wonderful tastes, spices, it's organic. This one's a natural processed one. So I'm thinking that people are going to start changing their habits into, once they've tasted good coffee, they'd rather pay more for that good coffee, knowing that the farmer's getting more for it. And that's one of the things, I'm just opposed to outright following a label. Oh, it's Rainforest Alliance. Oh, it's this alliance. It's that alliance. It's that. Because I think the market is going to dictate what happens. And the market for the mass population, yes, is still going to buy those lower grade beans. But there's going to be a whole new segment of the coffee market that is going to want a better bean, a better tasting coffee, something that's just like, once you've had it, you just can't go back to those beans. So that's how I'm seeing that going. And, you know, if you just look around, you know, I just told you that those beans raw were $7 a pound. I mean, I think the last time I was at Costco's, they had a 3-pound bag of beans, and I think it was either $13.99 or $15.99. So you figure 3 pounds of beans came from the farmer, came to the roaster. I assume he's big enough he buys them right from them. He roasts them up. He's got to make a profit, pay his people, machines, etc. He sells it to Costco's. Costco's has got to make money, and all of that comes within, you know, 14, 15 bucks for 3 pounds. You know, figure the math there. It's not that hard. The farmer guy's not making very much at all on this deal. So, you know, I don't always trust labels, and I think it's a better plan to try to find where the beans are coming from. Are they good beans? Am I going to pay more for them? Yes, I'll gladly pay more for them. Hopefully people will also say, yes, this is a great roast, great coffee. I'm willing to pay more for it too, because it will work down the line far better than the fair trade thing, I think. Like I said, I think it started as a great concept, but where it's gone, I don't think is that great a thing. So beware of all that kind of stuff. So that's my 2 cents for today.